Hey everyone, the world of AI developer tools is moving fast. Today, we're going to cut through all that noise and talk about a new class of tools that are completely changing how we write, debug, and build software.
So let's start with something I hear all the time. When you hear about a tool like Claude Code or the Gemini CLI, what's the first thing you think? For most of us, it's just, ChatGPT, but stuck inside a terminal window.
But here's the thing, it's not. And that one little misunderstanding, it's the main reason most developers are not getting anywhere near the full power out of these things. We're going to fix that right now.
All right, let's get into it. First up, a common misconception. We're going to break down exactly why thinking of these tools as just chat is seriously holding you back.
Okay, so let's just quickly set the scene. You've used ChatGPT, you've probably used GitHub Copilot, and because of that, your mental model, the way you think about AI, is probably that it's a chat interface that spits out code. But there's a whole new category of tool popping up, one that doesn't just talk to you, it actually acts.
So that brings us to Section 2, the 3 types of AI developer tools. To really get this, we have to map out the whole landscape. You see, there are really 3 different types, and what makes them different comes down to one single crucial word: agency.
Okay, so check this out. It really breaks it down perfectly. Over on the left, you've got your chatbots, like ChatGPT. They give you advice, but you're the one who has to go do the work. Then, in the middle, you have IDE assistants like Copilot. It kind of looks over your shoulder at your current file and makes suggestions. But again, you're the one who has to accept it and act. But then, on the right, you've got CLI AI tools. These things see your entire code base. They have read and write access. And their main job isn't to talk or suggest, it's to execute. It acts.
So here's the kicker. The AI model underneath might be pretty similar, but the surface, what it's actually allowed to do, is totally different. Here's the best way to think about it. A chatbot is like texting a smart friend for some advice. An IDE assistant is like that friend looking over your shoulder while you code. But a CLI AI tool, that's like hiring them as a contractor. You give them the plan, and they actually go and do the work. See, the difference isn't about intelligence, it's about access and agency.
So, if these tools are like contractors, how do they actually get the job done? Let's pop the hood and take a look at the execution loop that lets these things work all by themselves.
And this shows that step-by-step process beautifully. It all kicks off with your instruction, right? Then the AI makes a plan, it reads your files, your Git history, whatever it needs to get context. And then, here's the magic. It actually runs real commands on your system. Now this next part is super important. It has a safety check. It'll ask for your okay before it does anything drastic. And when it's all done, it tells you exactly what it did. This is basically what researchers call a REACT loop. It reasons, it acts, and then it observes what happened.
Let's make this real. Imagine you type fix the failing test in auth.py. Okay, so first, it reads both the source code and the test file. It figures out, there's a mismatch on this specific line. Then it actually goes in and edits the code to fix it. After that, it runs the test command itself to make sure the fix worked. And finally, it comes back to you and says, yep, test is passing, I changed the return type on line 34. All from one sentence.
All right, so now that we know how it works under the hood, let's see what this looks like in the real world. We're going to run through 3 super common scenarios where these tools can take you from a simple prompt to a totally finished task. Okay, first up, the classic bug hunt. You've got a server error, a 500, and you're not even sure where to start looking.
So the agent doesn't just guess. It reads the relevant code files, and it checks the server error logs. That's something a chatbot just can't do. It figures out the real problem, maybe a missing null check, then it adds the code to fix it, and finally it runs the tests to prove that the endpoint is working again. It's the whole debugging process, completely automated.
All right, scenario 2. A task we've all done a million times, and it's always a little tedious, setting up a brand new project from scratch.
So from that one little prompt, the agent builds the whole folder structure for you. It generates all the boilerplate files, the Docker file, your requirements, everything. It just completely automates all that boring, repetitive setup so you can get right to the fun stuff. And for our third one, let's do a big one, a codebase-wide refactor, the kind of thing that can touch dozens of files all over the place. Now this is where having that whole codebase context is an absolute game changer. The agent finds every single place that old function is used, edits each one, and then confirms that nothing broke. It's so much faster and way less error-prone than trying to do a manual find and replace.
Okay, so these tools are obviously super powerful, but that does not mean you should use them for absolutely everything. So when should you reach for one of these agents, and when is a regular chatbot or your IDE assistant actually the better choice? Let's build a quick decision framework. So you definitely want to use a CLI agent for those big multi-step tasks that touch lots of different files, like the bug fix and the refactor we just saw. They're amazing for automating repetitive work, and they're perfect for stuff like DevOps and project setup, especially if you're someone who just likes to live in the terminal.
But look, they're not a silver bullet. If you're still trying to learn the basic commands, do not use an agent to skip that step. That's a bad idea. For simple, one-off questions, a chatbot is way faster. And obviously, if you work in a super sensitive environment, you really have to think twice before giving an AI read and write access to your file system.
And that brings us to a really important point about safety. You have to remember, you're giving an AI real system access. These things can hallucinate commands that look right but are totally wrong, and sometimes they get confused in really big code bases. So you have to treat it like a new junior dev. Trust it, but always verify its work, especially before you say yes to any destructive command. It's here to amplify your skills, not replace them.
So, after all that, what's the one big idea here? What's the fundamental shift that we're really seeing?
Here it is, the huge leap from a chatbot to a CLI agent. It's not about the AI getting any smarter. It's about what we allow the AI to touch. The moment you give an AI access to your file system and a terminal, it stops being just an advisor, and it starts becoming a true collaborator.
Look, these tools are just the early versions of what are going to be fully agentic systems. Learning to work with them now, that's how you build the intuition for what the future of software development is going to look like. So the question I want to leave you with is this. As these systems get more and more powerful, how are you going to change your workflow to delegate not just typing, but entire tasks?